Now, earlier this month, the California Supreme Court disappointed many civil liberties advocates when it reached a 5-2 decision in People versus Diaz. The police may lawfully search mobile phones on arrested individual persons without first obtaining a search warrant. It's particularly troubling when you think of how much personal information is stored on your phone. In this day and age, it's both your best friend and could be your worst enemy if it gets into the wrong hands. Videos, pictures, emails, text messages, contacts, you name it, all of your communications are in this one little device. So with this ruling, should we just call privacy completely dead? Or are there still a few tricks out there to keep your personal information safe? Well, earlier, I caught up with Ryan Radia, Associate Director of Technology Studies at the Competitive Enterprise Institute. And first, we painted the scenario. Let's say I got pulled over. I got arrested. I had my phone on me. Can cops really just do whatever they want with it?
That's correct. Under the decision 2 weeks ago by the California Supreme Court, along with actually a number of other courts over the last few years, anytime you are arrested by police for any reason, which could include unpaid parking tickets, driving without a seatbelt, reckless driving, the police can take your phone, arrest you, and once you're in custody under arrest behind bars, they can spend hours trying to search through your phone. Anything they find can be used against you in court, can be used for a search warrant.
And that's really scary, because when you think about it, this little tiny thing that I carry around with me, I mean, it holds so much of our personal information these days, right? Every email, every text message, every picture, every video. It's almost kind of scary how much we depend on these little things.
It's incredible how much data we store on our smartphones. The courts have dealt with things like pagers for a while, but those are usually just a couple of phone numbers. The actual initial court decisions that allowed this to happen dealt with things like a cigarette pack. But today we're talking about a cell phone. Really, the cell phone of the smartphone, like an iPhone, contains your papers and effects of the digital age. The things that you would once store at home in a locked file cabinet in your desk. You don't have your Gmail, your text messages, your images. All this personal information is on your phone, and it's now vulnerable to law enforcement search without a court order, without a warrant at all.
I mean, it's definitely personal information. It's something that I consider private, and it is a catch-22. It's so easy. You can carry it around all the time. But now, at the same time, it's very vulnerable, like you said. But you mentioned a few tricks as to perhaps how you could keep cops from actually getting hands on your phone. So let's say that I'm in my car and they choose to arrest me. What does it mean for the phone to be on my person? If it's on the passenger seat laying there in the center console, does that count?
Unclear. Never really been tested. The technical language is if it's immediately associated with your person, they can search it. No questions asked. No need for what's called exigent circumstances. But if it's in your immediate control, but not immediately associated with your person, they can't search it. So the precedents on this are a little murky because it's such a new and untested area. But if it's in your luggage, they probably cannot search it unless they have a serious reason to think you're going to destroy data on it. So probably for a seatbelt or a reckless driving arrest, if it's in your console, glove compartment, luggage, they probably can't search it. If it's in your purse, however, next to you, maybe even on the seat, in the seat next to you, or definitely in your pocket, then they can search it. So your goal is to get it basically as far away as you can from your person in some separate object. Whether or not courts
what about my phone case that covers it, right? That's a separate object, no?
It is. Again, it's a really murky legal definition, whether it's in your grabbing space, on your person, separate from you. In fact, if it's in your trunk, it may even have an entirely different standard for search because you can't access it at all inside your car.
Well,
so that's probably the safest place in all.
I'm sure we're going to be hearing a lot of stories coming out, about different people that had it somewhere else in their car and, what the cops constituted as on your person or not. But what if I have a password on my phone so you can't just push a button and instantly access all the information? Can the officer actually force you to give them your password?
They can ask you, and they can even lie to you. They can say, if you tell us your password, it's going to help you when we go before the judge. Remember, cops, generally speaking, don't have to tell you the truth. However, then this is important, they cannot force you to hand over your password. They may ask, they may try to persuade you, but if they do force you and you hand it over, then they've gone over the line. However, if you voluntarily disclose it, then that's free reign for them. So I would advise everyone, if you're at all worried about police looking at your phone, whether or not you committed a crime, which you probably don't know even if you have, given how many there are, but you should definitely password protect your phone. It's a great way to keep it safe from police.
Well, that's interesting that you mentioned that, because when I was reading your piece, you said that there's a lot of Americans that are probably saying, hey, I have nothing to hide. Go ahead, search my phone. But you said that a lot of us are probably guilty of committing crimes and we don't even know it. What do you mean by that?
There's so many laws on the books in the United States these days. It's something that's called over-criminalization. Every year, thousands of new offenses are added to the books. A lot of them don't require criminal intent, so you could have no idea you're doing something illegal. And then there are these horror stories that have been compiled by organizations like Heritage Foundation. In fact, former Attorney General Ed Meese, who worked under Reagan, not exactly a bleeding heart liberal, in fact, he's a law and order conservative, he's written about this. A girl was arrested on a New York City subway for eating a French fry, arrested. A woman was arrested simply for not filing the right paperwork, a grandmother. So you can be arrested for a whole host of things, for not having the right stamp on a lobster you've imported. It's incredibly easy for the cops to find something you've done that's illegal. Not only that, if they search your phone and they find anything incriminating, such as the guy in California, Diaz, they found a text message that said 6480. That's all it said. The police officer testified that involved a drug deal, 6 pills for $80. That, along with other factors, was enough for a criminal conviction. So it's really hard to know for sure that there's nothing on your phone that might land you behind bars, given how many laws we have.
That is really crazy. So I guess the number one piece of advice that you're giving people is to actually go ahead and encrypt their phones. Isn't that right?
That's right. It's really easy to do that with your laptop, which I recommend everybody do because it's so easy. Just Google the phrase TrueCrypt, CRYPT. It's a great piece of software that lets you encrypt your laptop. Police cannot break it. It's very robust. Problem is, on phones, you really want that same level of encryption because police can't hack into it. The problem with a password-protected phone that's not encrypted is that there are these tools that police can plug into your phone. In 5 minutes, all the data is off your phone on their computer, and then they have free reign to search it. So encrypting it is the only really surefire way to make sure police can't access it. And as I said earlier, they cannot force you to compel to turn over the key. No matter what they say, you have the right to remain silent. They cannot force you to compel to disclose any information under the Fifth Amendment. So you really want to encrypt your phone. The problem is not a lot of phones actually let you encrypt it. It's not an easy thing. It's not a common feature. As I mentioned, BlackBerry is probably the leader in this field, in large part because corporations, their main customers, really care about security. iPhone's not so easy to encrypt it.
Well, that's no good. I think maybe I need to throw out my phone. Well, no, I mean, this is something that might even be coming in front of the Supreme Court at some time, but it's definitely, good for people to know about what they can and cannot do, what they should and shouldn't do. Ryan, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Good to be here.